पुकार प्यार का राग सुनो प्यार का राग सुनो रे
Meena Karnik, the well known Marathi film critic, writer, and editor, unexpectedly fell in love with Dev Anand. So much so that she watched 80 films of the enduring romantic icon of Hindu cinema in a single year, a feat the star himself never indulged in. The result of that Dev Anand binging is her book in Marathi, Pyar Ka Raag Suno. She has co-authored it along with Dwarkanath Sanzgiri and Hemant Karnik. The book traces Hindi cinema's romantic journey through its enduring emblems from Dev Anand to Shah Rukh Khan via Shami Kapoor, Rajesh Khanna and Rishi Kapoor. Meena spoke to Mayank Chhaya Reports from Mumbai.
Welcome to Mayank Chhaya Reports. Meena, it's a great pleasure to see you.
Thank you so much, Mayank. Thank you very, very much.
Congratulations on your upcoming book, Pyar Ka Raag Suno. I'm intrigued by,
Thank you.
of course, the journey that you're going to talk about. From what I understand, the journey is a sort of a zigzag from Dev Anand to Shami Kapoor to Rajesh Khanna to Rishi Kapoor and finally to
Shah Rukh
Shah
Khan.
Rukh Khan.
Shah
Tell
Rukh
me a
Khan.
bit about your
Yeah.
theme. Yeah,
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 I'll tell you what. It was in the. I of course liked Dev Anand, but I was not a great fan of Dev Anand fan sort of. But
right.
something changed in January 2022 when I was just browsing on YouTube and तेरे घर के सामने was came in front of my screen, came on the screen, and I do
Yeah,
watch films a lot. Like I watch world cinema, I write on it. So they are all very serious films, and then it's serious writing also. So I thought, चलो आज कुछ light देखते हैं. And I started watching it, and
जी,
something changed. I said, "What an amazing!" I had watched it before. It's not that I'd not watched तेरे घर के सामने naturally, but I don't know what happened that day, but it was a wonderful experience. I felt so nice. Maybe it's a mental state or whatever. But at that moment, I said, "Oh my God, what charm this man has! Amazing!" And I fell in love with him. So I started watching his
I see.
films on the YouTube, on some OTT platforms and everything. And it stuck in my head like Devanand was not going anywhere. So I said, I felt very nice watching his films. And my husband said, "Ki, if you're watching his films and if you say you're in love with him, do something about it." I said, what do I do about him? What do I do about this? I'm happy watching his films. That's all. He said, "No, that's not enough. You need to do something about it. Write a book." So I said, "There's been so much written on Devanand. What am I going to write? Different? Like what is it that would be different?" And
Right.
it was there at the back of my mind when I was talking to my sister-in-law, and we were just talking like normal talk. Suddenly, I said, "Ki, I'm watching Devanand's film," and then she said, "Ki, sometimes when you're tired, I do watch Devanand's songs on video on YouTube before going to sleep. It soothes you. It may it
Right.
and sometimes I also see Shah Rukh Khan in him." And I said, "Oh my
I
God,
see.
that's it." I had also felt that, but I was a little skeptical about saying it to somebody. I see Shah Rukh Khan in Devanand, or I see Devanand in Shah Rukh Khan. And
I
that
see.
triggered the subject, actually, to be very honest. I said, they both are romantic heroes. So why not trace the journey from Devanand to Shah Rukh Khan? And then I
Right.
spoke to
Yeah,
Dwarkanath Sanzgiri, who's a great Devanand fan. So, and I said, let us do it together. And then we started talking. My brother
I
Hemant
see.
Karnik was in our discussions. And then he was so much the part of our discussions that we said, okay, let's the three of us write it. So we started talking about it, and it's not a straight journey. It's not a straight line from Devanand to Shah Rukh Khan. There are some in between. So
Right.
like Devanand to Shami Kapoor to Rajesh Khanna, Rajesh Khanna to Rishi Kapoor, and Rishi Kapoor to Shah Rukh Khan. So while discussing and while talking about it, I realized that uh, there's a lot of difference between Shami Kapoor's romance and Devanand's romance. So Devanand's romance is like very soft, very romantic. There's a lot of aggression in Shammi Kapoor's romance. So
Indeed.
there's lots of physicality. So we started talking about it, started tracing it. I spoke to a few people. I spoke to Mahesh Bhatt. I spoke to Dr. Jabbar Patel. I spoke to Siddharth Bhatia. I spoke to Anupama Chopra. Like there are a few interviews
Right.
also, lots of books, and that's how it all started actually.
Okay. I heard in your interview, your Marathi interview the other day, you said you watched
Yeah.
80 films of Devanand in a single year. I
Yes,
I
yes.
can tell you with a fair degree of confidence that I don't think even Devanand watched 80 films of his in his entire lifetime. Forget 1 year. So
Yeah, you knew him quite well,
you have to
isn't
be
it?
insane to do. Yeah, extremely well for about more than a quarter century. So I'm trying to picture him when you would have told him that you watched 80 of his
Yeah.
movies, how he might have reacted. So
Yes.
tell me which movie did you start? Which movie did you start with?
तेरे घर के सामने, of course. तेरे घर के सामने.
Uh,
Then Kala Pani. Then Kala Bazaar. Then Maya. Then every Asli Nakli.
right.
All the famous movies. Then I went to Guide. I had not watched because I said I remember Guide very vividly. So I
Yeah.
said, let me. Then everything. Johnny Mera Naam, Jewel Thief. Even his Hira Panna, matlab not so great movies in his later stage, those also I watched everything, and some to at least 3 times, 4 times, like 16 साल, रूप की रानी चोरों का राजा, 9 2 11,
Yes.
everything, Bazi of course, Jal, Farar, and so many of them, and it was
Right.
fun.
Right.
I really enjoyed it, and I've
No,
met Dev
some
Sir
of the movies
actually.
that you mentioned. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, in
No, some
80s,
of the
like when we
movies
had
that you
this
mentioned were
magazine.
great fun.
Yeah, great fun. And what again I thought was like he was not just a romantic hero. He's done so many different gray shades in his. There are so many gray shades
Yeah.
in his roles. Some of the roles that even Raj Kapoor and Dilip Kumar at that time have not ventured into those gray shades. Like in Jal, to he is
That's true.
completely black till the end, till the last frame. He is
Yeah.
black. Like at the end, she says, Geeta Bali says, "You can't shoot me because you are in love with me," and that's the time when when that banduk that he's got, he just drops it, and the film ends there. Like throughout the film, he's trying. He's a con. So it's in
Right.
house number 44 in Bazi. So many of the films, in Kala Bazaar for that matter, there are so many
Right.
gray shades that is portrayed. So when you call, and it's quite natural, like when you have a Dilip Kumar uh, to compare with, who's a great actor, it it'll like you will be overshadowed in acting sense. Like nobody said Devanand was a great actor. Nobody ever said, like he had lots of
Right.
charm, but nobody ever considered him to be a great actor. But I think he was not a bad actor at all. Apart from his charm, the roles he did was the risks he took was great. It's very
No, no,
commendable
indeed.
actually.
In fact, no, no, it is. In fact, I would say that in terms of delivering some of the lines, say even in a movie like Guide, for instance, uh, the precision of his intonation and language. Once you go past his charisma, you can see that the
Yeah.
man was as precise as Dilip Kumar in terms of delivering his line. People don't
Yes.
recognize that. I used to talk to him about that.
Yes.
So he would just brush it off. Hota hai. That's what he would say. Okay. A couple
So
of
typical of him.
a couple of things. I want to ask you to me personally. Two songs completely emblematize romance in Hindi cinema. These are the two greatest romantic songs of all time in my book. One is, of course, Abhi Na Jao Chhodkar.
Abhi na jao
Uh,
chhodkar.
and the other is the title of your movie, Dil Ka Bhar Kare Pukar, Pyar Ka Raag Suno.
Absolutely,
Which one is
absolutely.
yours? Right, right.
My
Yeah,
favorite is Dil Ka Bhavar Kare Pukar, because I think basically I think Devanand and Wahida was a great pair, Devanand and Wahida Rahman. But to me, Devanand and Nutan made an amazing pair, more than Devanand and Madhubala. He looked great with everybody for that matter. But my favorite
right.
is Devanand and Nutan. I just love them. When to see them together is like a treat, I feel. Both of them complement each other. Both of them are like amazing. Nutan is one of the greatest actresses, I feel like, for me. But together, even Dekho Ruthana Karo, all the songs, Tere Ghar Ke Samne, it's those songs are great. But Dil Ka Bhavar Karo Pukar is amazing. Nutan, there is no female voice in it, but her presence itself, you can't imagine Dil Ka Bhavar Kare Pukar as a solo song. You imagine it as a duet. So that's my most
Absolutely,
favorite.
absolutely, absolutely. And it has such charm. It is
Yes,
so Devanand in many ways, that song.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And even in
Since
Tere Ghar
we
Ke
since
Samne, yeah, I was talking "तू कहाँ ये बताओ"
no, go ahead.
in that song also. Yeah, "तू कहाँ ये बताओ" is such a great song. It like his searching for her dress, and when she sees him, the way she looks at him and is surprised. So that is romance, basically.
Yeah, I personally don't think anyone has surpassed Devanand in terms of cinematic romance. I mean, there are other names that you mentioned in your book, be it Shammi Kapoor. Shammi Kapoor is like a sledgehammer romance.
Yeah, it's got
It's
lots of
it's
aggression,
it's right. Rajesh Khanna had a cinematic touch for sure.
but he
So
repeated
did Rishi
himself.
Kapoor, but Shah Rukh, right, right.
Yeah, Rishi Kapoor. No, Shah Rukh Khan is again my favorite. Like I like Shah Rukh Khan very much. I'm not. I love Shah Rukh Khan, but I'm in love with Devanand. That's the difference between the two, I say.
Right.
But
Yeah.
Shah Rukh Khan also, I think the way he looks at his heroines, the way he treats his heroines, there's lots of Dev Saab. And I found so many similarities in the films also. There are. I've mentioned that in my book. If I can, like.
Yeah,
Tell
sure.
this. Do you remember Shah Rukh Khan's song in Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge? The one where he on the piano, Ruk Ruk Ja O E Dil Diwane. When you
Yeah.
watch Dunya, there is a scene in Dunya where Vaijanti Mala is playing the piano. Everybody claps, all her friends around her. Dev Saab doesn't, and the friends say, Ki, why aren't you clapping, etc. And then she says, if you're so arrogant, try your hand at the piano. And he said, I'm an advocate. How would I know? So he sits on the piano, and then some false notes he just plays, and then suddenly she turns her back and goes, and he starts singing Falsafa Pyar Ka. It's the exact, almost a
I
replica
see.
of that
Okay.
scene. So,
Oh, interesting.
and Shah Rukh Khan, of course, he is
Yeah.
like, I don't know if you talk to today's women or girls, Shah Rukh Khan is like God to them. I think again his charm is something that you cannot just ignore. Like when he says "मैं कोई ऐसा गीत
No,
गाऊं
sure.
to Juhi Chawla," it's like, oh my God, somebody should sing that to me.
Right. Coming back to the broader theme of your book, how long did you take to finish it? How long did you take to write it?
Writing was it took us some 4 months. August,
Okay.
September, yeah, 4 months of writing. But before that, like we started talking to each other since mid 22 June or something like that. Then there were lots of books to read. There was these
Okay.
interviews that need to be done, and the notes and everything. Then sometimes we did not agree with each other, so we discussed it and then came to an agreement. So because everything that's come in the book should be owned by all three of us, So it took quite some time, but writing was
Right.
fairly easy, I think, because by then we had the
Yeah, but
structure
I'm curious.
in our minds.
Okay, I'm curious to know, since there are three people involved, did all three of you write, or it was assigned to one particular person based on the note from all three?
Yeah, actually, because otherwise the three different styles book में आ जाती थी, which wouldn't be good.
जी
Like
जी.
when you're reading a book, it has
Right.
to be in one style. It should have a flow. It should be easy read basically. There shouldn't be any jerks or
Right.
any ups and downs in terms of the style, the language, everything. And no two people can have the same style
Right.
and same language. So what we decided
Right.
upon was, since it was my idea and I was so enthusiastic about it, I'd basically write the final draft. But they
Okay.
gave what they felt was, we decided on the subject, like on music. So we spoke about it, and then one person wrote about it, or people wrote about it. I got everything. Then I just the final draft was done by me, but they also gave it in writing. Like
Ah,
it wasn't
okay.
just about discussion and not notes,
Okay.
but what they had to say was written and given to me. I gathered all the information and then made it into a one full book.
Okay. Yeah. Give me some snapshots of all the five people that you're talking about, in how you see them as romantic heroes. We've already talked at length about Devanand. Let's go to Shammi Kapoor, then followed by the other four, and I want to
Yeah.
understand how you look at them.
Yeah. So what? See, our Devanand chapter ends with saying that people wanted Devanand's was a very soft romance, very romance, but maybe the public wanted something else, and that's how another hero who was very aggressive, whose romance was very physical, and
Right.
who was like, I'm the boss kind of a hero, came became so popular with, and then we move on to Shami Kapoor. So Shami Kapoor's romance had aggression. He was like, uh, we've written about it in length. Of course, it's very difficult to say it in just one or two sentences, but Shami Kapoor's romance was very very physical, like his songs also.
Right.
uh, so even in his songs, though they were different, they were very very different from Devanand's romance, but it still was romance.
Right.
And he was the boss actually. He never, it did not matter to him who was his heroine. He would be himself, like
Right.
he would be Shami Kapoor. So and he'd
Right.
said that in so many interviews, that he worked with so many newcomers proves the fact that it was Shami Kapoor who mattered. Of course, he did receive, there were
Right.
films where the heroine had an equally important role, but otherwise, in most of his films, the heroines were there for him to romance.
Right.
And then, when
Right.
after Shami Kapoor, what we say is that there was this film called, that we ended Shami Kapoor by saying that there was this film called Andaz, where Shami Kapoor was the
Right.
hero, but all the limelight was hogged by a star who's become a superstar by then, and who had just a 15 minutes role, which was Rajesh Khanna. And then we move on to Rajesh Khanna. And while talking about Rajesh
Interesting.
Khanna's
Yeah.
romance, so of course, Rajesh Khanna's romance, so you can't, like, he did in Aradhana, how it was a big hit and everything, his romance. But we've also said that he had a very limited style. Like he repeated himself acting wise, and
Right.
that 4 years, like Mr. Amitabh Bachchan has said once, that 4 years of Rajesh Khanna's popularity was unprecedented. It was like they were crazy fans. So, what did the fans see? The girls,
Right.
especially, what did they see in him? And his guru shirt and everything. How did it become popular and everything that we have written? And then we also said that then there came an angry young man in '73 who just disrupted the superstar's kingdom, and who reigned, who became the king almost for almost 15 years.
Right.
But even in those action-packed 15 years, there was someone who kept the romance alive in Hindi films. Because in 73 itself, there was a film called Bobby which got released. And then we move on to Rishi Kapoor.
Right.
So
Okay.
we end Rishi Kapoor with a film called Deewana, where he's worked with Shah Rukh Khan, and then we say that there was this young boy with lots of energy who wanted to do something in Mumbai, who wanted to prove himself, had come, and then we move on to Shah Rukh Khan. So that's our what do you say? Uh, uh, a link between these five heroes. In Shashi Kapoor, we have also spoken about
Yeah.
Shashi Kapoor, where we say that he had all the qualities of being a romantic hero. He was a good actor. He was a great look. He was very handsome. But in spite of that, maybe because he was more interested in serious cinema, he did not give his all to his commercial films. And maybe that's why he did not become a heartthrob in that sense. So we've spoken a little
Right.
about Shashi Kapoor too. So in Devanand, we have
Okay.
also discussed Dilip Kumar and Raj Kapoor, and in Shah Rukh Khan, we have also discussed Amir Khan and Salman Khan a little bit.
Okay.
So that's how the
Okay.
list.
No, these are interesting links.
Yeah, and then we have also
Yeah.
written about their songs in another chapter, because you can't romance without songs in
Oh,
Hindi
I
films.
see.
So there's
Indeed.
an independent chapter on their songs, and there's an independent chapter on their heroines, who they
Okay.
connected with, and everything like. So this is the
But do you
basically
personally,
the whole book.
okay, do you personally dwell on specific songs in terms of what attracts you to those songs?
Yeah, we have, like, we have spoken about, like just now we said, we have spoken about Dil Ka Bhavar Kare Pukar. We have spoken about Dada Burman's song,
Right.
Hemant Kumar's song that Dada Burman gave to Dev Saab. Then we have spoken about Guide,
Okay.
which was a great, had greatest album actually, and was still not, still didn't win the Filmfare Award that year. So we've spoken about a few songs, and then of course, like Siddharth Bhatia has said that Dev Saab's songs were not just some of the songs. Like of course, "Main Zindagi Ka Saath Nibhata Chala Gaya" or "Hum Hai Rahi Pyar Ke," or all these songs. They were not just songs from his films. They also, in a way, depicted his philosophy.
Right.
So we've spoken about that
Indeed.
too.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How do you think the Marathi literature market, because Marathi literature market is very vibrant, it has a great
Yeah.
tradition of very diverse kind of writing.
Absolutely.
How do you think they would look at a book like this? Because it's an interesting comparison of five leading men.
Yeah. I don't know. I think from what the response I'm getting is we are very interested, we are intrigued. So I hope they love the whole, because it's not just well, what do you say? It's got documentation. It's actually a documentation of a period, a limited period, of course, a
Okay.
romantic limited period, but it's still a documentation. So I think it's not just
Right.
well, it's got lots of anecdotes. It's a very easy read. It's an interesting book, but it's not just a book on films. It is something different.
Right.
So I hope
Right.
they like it. And Devanand and Shah Rukh Khan are, of course.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised, by the way, Mayank, that even today, if you see at the reactions that I've got on on Facebook or elsewhere, or even when I speak to my friends, or it's maybe because of my age, but they speak more about Dev Saab than about anybody else, any other hero from our book. Like they're more, oh, we are Devanand
I
fans. We are
see.
looking forward to this. So Dev Saab's still the most popular, perhaps,
No,
after Shah Rukh
yeah,
Khan.
he was one of a kind. He was one of a kind.
Yeah,
He was really one of a and this I'm saying, having known him for, see, I knew two people from the industry extremely well, and almost for the same amount of, same number of years. One was, of course, Devanand. The other was Rajesh Khanna. I knew him for a quarter century or more.
oh,
Uh,
I should have spoken to you
it,
before.
it, In fact, extremely closely. Rajesh Khanna used to, in fact, every time my phone rang, either in Bombay or Delhi after midnight, it would be him. Every single time, with some random question about this. So anyway, I'm interested to know from you. In terms of the way you look at you made a distinction between you fell in love with Devanand and you love Shah Rukh Khan.
Shah Rukh Khan.
Tell
Yeah.
me a bit more about that. Yeah.
No, it's what do you say? I really love Shah Rukh Khan. I love his romantic films, not his action ones, but his romantic films. And again, not when you say
Right.
that you like someone, you love you the actor, like it's not all his films. Like even Dev Saab's, it's not all his the later films.
Indeed.
As a critic, you have to be objective. You can't just say I'm a bhakt. Like I whatever Dev Saab does is great. It's not like that. You need to be a little objective, and you need
No,
to
not at
accept
all.
that. Yeah, and so even with Shah Rukh Khan, it's like that. Uh, I love him. I like the way he romances his heroines on the screen. I love the way he speaks about his heroines off screen. The respect he gives, the way he talks about them is very gentlemanly, and it's amazing. Like the importance he gives them,
Right.
and then you see those clips, small clips, where he's actually. Uh, what do you say, trying to lift his wife's gown, which is flowing on the ground, and some small gestures. The way he
Yeah.
speaks
Right.
to, he gives interviews. It's all combined. So it's not just about Shah Rukh Khan, the
Okay.
actor, but it's also about the way you see him off screen too. So that's also that's one of the reasons why I like him a lot. And then with Dev Saab also, I've just met him thrice. So, and that too in the 80s. So,
Hmm.
but the interviews that you saw during his birth centenary celebrations, like everybody, right from Wahidaji to everybody, to Tina Munim, Mumtaz, everybody was talking about how gentlemanly he was off sets too. Vaidaji has said in an interview that when Dev came on the sets, he put his hand on my shoulder, and I never felt unsafe. I wouldn't allow any other
I see.
hero
Yeah.
to do that. So uh, these are the small things when you, apart from their screen persona, their off-screen persona also, it becomes a good. It feels nice, like
It,
to read these things, and then that all this together makes you. And also one more thing I wanted to add was. But Mahesh Bhatt said a very interesting thing in an interview I did with him. So when we're talking about his later films, he said that he was allowed to do anything because he'd given us so much that he was allowed to do trash films because we are not going to remember Devsa for those films. We are going to remember him for something that he's given us, the
right.
treasure that he's given us all along his career.
Right.
That
Right.
was an interesting
Uh,
thing, I think.
no, I agree. To conclude, let me ask you this question: if in a different avatar, if you were to date between Devanand and Shah Rukh Khan, whom would you date?
Devanand. Definitely
Okay, there you
Devanand.
go. Okay, well, this
Yeah, I wouldn't
well,
take a
this is
minute to
wonderful.
answer that.
मीना मिलते हैं. That's what he would have said.
Yeah. Okay.